Amanda Rayner, we've known each other for many, many years. Let's not even talk about how many years.
No, let's not.
Because it'll make us not feel like spring chickens. And we are spring chickens.
Of course we are.
Right.
That's why we do what we do.
Now, the reason that I thought it'd be useful to have a conversation is because, if you think about the modern world that we live in, given the fact that we've got Teams, Zoom calls, Facebook Live, WhatsApp group chats, you name it, what is the point of people meeting face to face?
Just that, meeting face to face. There is more energy, there's more engagement, there is more response if people are physically in a room together. They're feeding off the same thing, and that wall that you get if you're doing something remotely, you lose that on Teams, Zoom, all of them. However, there is a place for the remote buy-in, because you can actually expand your audience. For those people who can't attend, not that they don't want to, but who can't, but want to be a part of it, they can still have the option of not physically being in the room, but hearing and listening, asking questions. And of course, that's the other thing. If you're doing it remotely, the whole question asking thing is much more drawn out. It's not as spontaneous, so you lose spontaneity and the rest of it. So, yeah, I would say live events are better, but they genuinely are.
So somebody comes to you, a client comes to you, and a long time ago, I was one of those clients coming to you with the Race in the Media Awards, which, by the way, was a fantastic event. And I'm not just saying that just to blow our own trumpets, but it was a genuinely amazing event. And we had the editors from The Guardian, the BBC, the Telegraph. All the big wigs were there. And the Sun, David Yellen, was there.
Yes.
Indeed, and I met him. I actually have a photograph to prove that, to be honest. And I'm now as bald as he was. But anyway, there we go. So, client comes to you, says, we're thinking of having an event. Mm-hmm. Talk about your thought process. What, and without giving the game away. There's a lot to it, but generally speaking, what are you then thinking about how to organise something? Because very often you get involved in the design process. You're not just somebody who comes in and does the nuts and bolts of sorting out some catering.
No, there's so much. No.
There's more to it. So talk about the thought process.
Okay, the thought process it starts with what you want to do, immediately followed by why. What do you want to get out of it? What is the aim? What are the takeaways? People talk about KPIs, key performance indicators. What do you want to get out of this? And then it's a question at looking at the ways that can be achieved. Is it a campaign? Is it an awards ceremony? Is it a launch? Do you want to impact on strategy or policy? And from there, that determines which route you go and how you structure it. As an event manager, I do bring a design head. I'm actually a trained graphic designer. So I do bring a design head. I believe because a lot of my clients are not-for-profit, NGOs and charity, in fact, I'd say 98% of them over the 30 plus years I've been an event manager are in that field, I bring a business head as well, a financial head. So it's important, things like making sure I know what budgets are. Have they got a venue? Book a venue. Don't assume anything.
Let's just say you have, for argument's sake, an awards ceremony, and you know where I'm going with this one, right? So you have an awards ceremony, and the organisation has no money, or very little money. So I'm, of course, referring back to the Race in the Media Awards. So there was a fundraising element, a sort of sponsorship fundraising element to this. Talk about how that works.
It was a lot easier then, I have to say. A lot easier. But it felt hard at the time. That works by identifying organisations, maybe it's individual people of high net worth, whatever, that will have a synergy with what you're trying to do. There's no point knocking on doors saying, I'm doing this, and they're saying, yeah, well, why are you asking me? You talked about all the editors who were there. Well, the clue for REMA, as it became known, the Race in the Media Awards, was it was about media, not just newspapers, but it was print, it was press, it was radio, it was TV.
Let's jump forward a bit. So the more recent time we worked together was for Heropreneurs.
Yes.
That was a big event. Talk about the venue for a start. That was an amazing venue. How did you find it?
I inherited it. It was the Imperial War Museum. And it was absolutely right for that client. It came with challenges, but that's where my experience came into play. So when I discovered that we had an hour and a half to basically strip the exhibits off the ground floor, get the set built, do a technical rehearsal, tables set and laid and everything else, I just took a deep breath and scheduled it to within a minute of its life. And when I say moving exhibits, I'm not talking little... Robin, you saw them. There was the 13-pound gun, which is like a mini cannon. There was a burnt-out Jeep from Baghdad and a press wagon. We didn't move the V2 bomber. We did set a table in front of it. But that's where you get to have a good rapport with your venue. They know how to do that. I mean, you saw them do it. And, thanks to you, we've got this wonderful time-lapse film and the footage. And blink, and you actually miss this lot just clearing the floor and a crew rolling in the tabletops and the bases. And there it is, it's done and it's set. But it's understanding how venues work, what you need to achieve, and how it can be done, even in a difficult venue.
That particular event, was an awards ceremony. Mm-hmm. There had been a judging panel. You'd been involved in the judging process earlier on and
yes.
coordinated that. How did you create an atmosphere at an event? Because there was a particular buzz in the room. How do you build that? Is there a secret to it?
For Heropreneurs, understanding that it was a predominantly veteran, so predominantly male audience. So that meant things like the menu. It had to be butch.
But there were women there as well.
There were quite a lot of women, but it was probably 70% male.
Yeah.
But understanding that military mindset. So, for goodness sake, don't serve up something pretty with lots of edible flowers on it. Wouldn't have worked.
Raw steak.
I think we did Jacob's rib, Jacob's ladder, which is short rib of beef, which was delicious. But anyway, yeah. So it's that sort of thing, understanding your audience. And these events take about a year to put together. So it's about talking to people, talking to the staff at at your client, and understanding what's going on. When I was working for the MS Society, I began to understand the touch points, if you like. And when entries came in, I read every single entry. I did that, well, certainly not read, but certainly got a feel for all of them, so that if somebody would phone me and say, I would know who they were, I could talk to them, and that's important.
You have an event, the client hopefully has a clear brief. They know what they want to achieve, whether it's fundraising, whether it's promoting their brand, whatever it might be.
All of it in one, yes.
All of it in one. Now, when people turn up, obviously they have a great time, they have some nice food, they network, there'll be an awards ceremony, they'll clap their hands, and then they go away. They melt away into the night or the day or whatever it is. Is there a takeaway? I mean, are you interested in the takeaway? Is that discussed? Yeah,
if my clients are interested, then I'm interested. I might not get involved, but I might say, look, if it's a conference, say, don't forget to do feedback forms. Write to your sponsors afterwards and say thank you. Do something old-fashioned, like send them a Christmas card. Keep your engagement with them. But if it's an awards, maybe you want to follow up with the winners and find out where they've gone on to. Your audience, if you want to say, hey, look, we've got photographs. This is where you can find them. There are little ways you can just maintain that contact and build on it. With REMA, it was always understood that it would become self-funding. Well, by the end of it, I totted it all up. By the end of my tenure, it was costing, and the value of it was about £250,000. And it cost the CRE not a penny. Everything was sponsored. The categories, I think we had sponsorship drinks receptions beforehand, afterwards, the brochure. We had a company who sponsored the wine. If it was sponsorable, I got it.
And by the way, just for the viewers watching this was not a shed out in the Kent countryside. This is the Savoy Hotel.
This was the Savoy Hotel.
So
We didn't really know what had hit them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was actually a very prestigious venue.
It was a prestigious event.
It was a full-on event.
One thing that we haven't mentioned, what was REMA about? It was about encouraging better coverage and representation of ethnic minorities. And I knew we'd succeeded when the chief exec of Channel 4 came up to me afterwards and he said, we want one of those. We want one of those trophies. And I said, well, you know what you've got to do? Read our mission statement. Get the output, you know. Make television programmes that are inclusive, that have, you know, British Asians, have Afro-Caribbean people in them, because they're just there, not because it's without explanation, without almost apology, which is what happened at that point.
By the way, I have to say, I think that actually the powers that be should bring it back. I mean, maybe not simply on race, but on equalities and diversity generally, actually. But there is still a place for an award ceremony that rewards the media,
Exactly.
and it might include social media as well.
Oh, it would today. It would have to.
Yeah,
it would have to.
The latest project you're working with?
Alopecia UK.
So it's another cause that you're working on, another sort of charity that they're trying to achieve something, and you're organising an event for them.
Their event is the big weekend. It's ambitious for a small charity. I mean, they are a tiny charity, but they are representing 150,000 people in the UK at any one time who have alopecia, and that's all types of alopecia. And the big weekend features talks by medics and researchers and psychologists, because for alopecia mental health is very important. We've got workshops and demonstrations, there's an exhibition, we've got a VIP reception, and to finish it all off, we're going to have a flash mob.
Very good.
A flash mob in the middle of Birmingham in September. So that is, I've already cleared it with the council. And it's important to remember those sort of things. A flash mob isn't quite that you just turn up and do it. There's licences, there's permissions, there's layers and layers and layers of things, and all the health and safety. But the trick is to make sure that the client gets what they want. We're producing something that their audience, and on this occasion, want to buy tickets for. They go away having learnt something, having met people, because support within a community is important. And they've had fun. There is always an opportunity to have fun. You build relationships, you build that rapport with the client, with the staff, and by the time you get on site, you really are a unit. And I've worked very hard to do that because it's important. It's not me, it's not them, it's us. It's always that. Well,
I'm looking forward to coming back to at some point, a bit like the BGF, and say, you've got a month to sort out 3 events in 3 different cities.
It was 4 events.
4 events, yeah. It was 4 events, actually.
It was 4 events.
4 events.
2 days,
I forgot
3
about
cities. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. Lovely to talk to you, as always.
Oh, Robin, thank you.
I look forward to carrying on our association for many, many more years to come.
So do I.
Yeah. Nice to talk to you, and thank you for coming and talking to us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah.